Hello and welcome to the final, yes, this is the final, the last one. I don't know if I should be happy or sad. The final anniversary stream for our 20th anniversary celebrations of the studio. And today we're talking Rogue Mage, yes. And we have Biedrovsky, gameplay designer with us. How you doing?
I'm great. A little nervous, but...
Dude, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. This is easy. And you have a lot to tell me about Rogue Mage, and I have a lot of stories about Rogue Mage and its development. But for those tuning in, remember, if you watch this stream for at least 15 minutes, there are Twitch drops which are enabled. So if you link your GOG account, you will be getting the Rarug avatar in your multiplayer Gwent. So yeah, link those accounts up, watch for 15 minutes. I think we'll go for around an hour, so that should be easy. And remember to ask questions in chat. We'll be collecting your questions, and once I pass on my questions to you regarding Rogue Mage and its development, we will then move on to your questions, so questions from the viewers. So yeah, we'll probably round this off with a little bit of information about what else is happening with regards to the 20th anniversary. But before that, let's kind of highlight what Rogue Mage is. So it's a single-player expansion to Gwent, the Witcher card game. And when did we start development of Rogue Mage? Do you remember?
The talks started at the beginning of 2020, and it didn't really go into production until like March. But yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I think it was February, something around that time.
We were wrapping up our talks in February and like preparing our tools and stuff at the beginning of March. So that's when we started prototyping the actual game.
Yeah, yeah, and from the perspective of how the game looked back then to what it is now, the scope has been kind of changing numerous times, and now we're kind of going back and forth with it. But in the end, we settled that it's going to be a single-player mode for Gwent, the Witcher card game. And also, the thing to mention here is Ozra is the character, and it kind of shows a little bit of the story of the creation of the first Witchers. Yep. And I think we can actually go into the game and actually show it to you. So you can kind of see, like in this main menu, we have Ozra and a story here.
The continent was draped in darkness. Its lands overrun by otherworldly monsters, rabid beasts most foul.
I love
a scourge
so much.
And a plague, sowing destruction and reaping despair. Those who wished to end the plight took up arms against the wretched creatures. All of them brave, all noble, all doomed. Yet amid the anguish, there was still hope. Alzur and Liliana, mages committed to ridding the world of all its horrors. They knew magic alone could not solve the problem. Those wielding it were too few, the infestation too vast. And so they turned to science, envisioning a way to use mutation to their advantage, to create exceptional beings without fear or weakness. Their bodies imbued with the very essence of the beasts they would vanquish. Yet, for this, Alzur and Liliana needed to deepen their understanding of mutagens and turn theory into practice, no matter the terrible cost.
And boom. That's how the game starts. Fun fact, we've worked on that intro video so many times, and still when I rewatch it today, I still kind of get goosebumps, and like I've seen it so many times. So, okay, Adam, more about you here. Kind of, when did you start in CDPR? Do you remember like how many years ago it was? You probably do. And what you started off with? You probably started off with multiplayer, Gwent, right?
So yeah, I started at the beginning of 2019. I think it was April or mid-April, something like that. I was working as QA back then in multiplayer Gwent, and to further my understanding of the game, I dove deep into the tools, and then over time started taking more and more feedbacking the designs and participating in the process. So eventually I was invited to join the design team and then help them out for real.
Yeah, it was really cool because I remember when you joined, you were kind of the go-to person on the QA side when it came to everything gameplay related, because you were checking all the gameplay stuff, if everything is working properly, if everything is the way it is supposed to be, right?
Yeah, so understanding how the abilities are coded helped me a lot, and helped everybody else a lot, since they had a person to turn to every time there was an issue. So that was my adventure.
Yeah. So as we're seeing here, I forgot to mention that we have Jean off screen playing the game for us. Jean is our gameplay designer, mainly responsible for everything that is happening in multiplayer. For those of you who are Gwent fans in chat, yes, we'll be recording a developer video very, very soon, because there's an update coming to multiplayer Gwent. But enough about multiplayer, back to Rogue Mage. So as you can see, there are some cards which are similar to the ones that you see in multiplayer Gwent, but they have different abilities. And when it comes to the gameplay design for these cards, they're a little bit fine-tuned, right? They're a little bit over the top compared to what we have in multiplayer, which needs to be more competitive. Am I correct?
So the biggest difference is that in multiplayer you can play only one faction at the time, and some cards work only within their faction, so they obviously had to change, and others have power level tuned for fighting other players, and those all also had to change a little bit to be more competitive as a standalone thing. So when you find them as a drop on the map, you don't immediately dismiss them because it's a 4 provision bronze. Like why do I take it, right? So a lot of stuff changes were motivated through this.
Yeah. So the balance wise, it's a much different beast compared to multiplayer, which is ever changing, and on a monthly basis there are changes happening to the game. There are new cards being introduced into the game, but it also influences balance. Here you're kind of in a self-contained, let's say, organism.
And also you don't have to worry about upsetting the other player when you absolutely crush them. So the designs can like be more unhinged and free. And if you have a silly idea, it will probably work much better for a single player experience than it does for the multiplayer, where you're playing with a living person and losing has to be fun to a degree. Still. It
kind of reminds me to the times of Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and where we had Gwent in there. It was also tuned in a way that, you're playing as Geralt, you're collecting these cards, and once you have the majority of them, they are so over the top and they're so good that you're able just to, like smother your opponent. But I also feel that the AI that we have here in Rogue Mage that you're playing against, it's much more smarter than the previous AIs that we do. And also, like, if you look at multiplayer and the AI there, like, it's easily beatable if you know how, right?
Yeah, so AI works a lot better when there's only one round to consider, since like fainting and like protecting themselves from overcommitting and stuff like this, stuff like this is very hard to teach to the robot. And since we have decided at some point that one round would slim the game down a little bit and make it more digestible for playing on your phone or whatever, then it naturally helped us to make the AI much more responsive and much more fun to play against.
Exactly. Here we saw that after winning the first match in the tutorial, we got some reinforcements in terms of cards, and then we have the map here and kind of a little bit of story.
Yeah, so throughout the development, we were kind of struggling how to inject the story into the game, since from the beginning we're kind of designing it as the gameplay first game mode, and then story was sort of like an afterthought, and this is what we came up with. It conveys enough to where you can piece together what happened, what were the events, and the chronological order of them. So I think it worked pretty well in the end.
So for those tuning in and seeing Rogue Mage for the first time, like it's available on Steam, GOG, iOS, and Android. So throughout all these platforms. for those that wanted to know like the basics, this is a game that has roguelike elements, single player, like we mentioned at the beginning. And how does the progression more or less look like? So we go through the map, like we finish the first thing, we go to a treasure chest. We'll get some treasures that we can add in terms of cards, which go in our deck here. And what's the ongoing progression more or less?
So your goal is to complete the experiment using 3 mutagens harvested from very powerful monsters, and on the way you will find treasures, places of power like John just encountered, some enemies, some friends, all the stuff, and it's all your journey is basically preparing you to fight this powerful monster at the end, and you're trying to get those mutagens to perform the experiment.
Yeah. And I think the most important aspect of this, like any roguelike game, is the repetition. So replayability here is that every time you get something which is generated, and no run is the same, right?
Yeah, so they can be similar. Like your deck will usually start in similar form at the very start until you start unlocking more stuff. But as you play, the options will expand, and so does the difficulty. Since you will
like a big boss.
yeah, one of the favorites. Just as your deck will evolve, the difficulty also spikes up a little bit, and So
the AI gets smarter and it gets harder to go against.
It gets sillier abilities, and as you go on, like Necker is a pretty basic enemy in The Witcher. Mage also shouldn't be struggling too much with it, but they can still catch you off guard.
Yeah. Speaking of Necker, the code name for this project was Project Golden Necker, which we kind of used throughout the kind of months and months in which we were talking about the project itself, saying like, yeah, we're working on something, it's going to be single player, and it's called Project Golden Necker, which totally did not tell players like it's connected to Auser in any way. And it was fun because people picked it up and they rolled with it and kind of stayed there. So do you have any memories from the development that you would like to kind of highlight? Any funny stories or anything that was I don't know, kind of back and forth, or did you guys feel like we were pretty much set? I know that we weren't set 100% in terms of what the game was going to be, and we're kind of changing the scope, but is there anything worth highlighting in your opinion?
So my strongest memory from the thing is, like you said, the project changed over time, and like early in pre-production it looked completely different, and we were experimenting with many different mechanics and trying to figure out how to make it work as a roguelike, right? And my strongest memory is when we actually completed the first prototype, because when we could actually put our hands on it, like play it, and it's really nice to see like all of the things we did actually, like, this is so cool. This is something really cool. We can do something with it, and that one sticks with me.
It is a passion project. I could tell, and especially from the team working on the design, responsible for the design. Like, I feel like it was very close to heart, and actually having the ability to go through different iterations and then seeing them brought to life and actually replaying it and testing it. It was kind of giving, it just felt good to have that kind of, to have it on screen, if that makes sense. So I totally understand that. So it looks like the big boss isn't that big of a boss for Jean.
It's tougher when your deck is more focused on dealing damage than boosting. But the starter deck should not have any trouble with Necker big boss.
Yeah, I like it also, the cards that are there, kind of similar to everything you would see in Monsters. You have the Chimera, you have the big Ogre, and other Neckers, so it kind of makes a lot of sense. And we're here more on the human side, so more Northern Realms mixed with a little bit of Nilfgaard. And so if you're a Gwent player, you will recognize these arts for sure.
Yeah, so teaming was pretty important because it was always part of the design to like bring those characters together with their team. So we grabbed what we had from how Neckers exist in games, in lore, and also how they exist in multiplayer game, and like turned it into an encounter that you can see here.
Yeah.
Jean handled it.
Yep. Boombreaker. Boom. Not enough.
Big swing.
Not enough. Yeah, Jean's pretty good at this game.
It turns out playing multiplayer prepares you for single player as well.
Who would have thought? Ooh, more cards. Okay, when it comes to the overall process of design, I know how it looks more or less for multiplayer. How did it look here in terms of like starting off, let's say you have a whiteboard and you're starting from zero. Like what do you start off with like as a designer?
So it depends on what you have to hang on to, right? Because sometimes you have a good idea for a monster that you want to bring into the game. Sometimes you have a good idea for the ability that you would like some monster to have, and depending on the angle, it looks a little differently. But first, you always have to like figure out what is your goal. Like, if you have the art, then like what is this monster doing?
Yeah.
What it does in lore, what it does in game, and like what are the characteristic things about it. And if you have a cool ability, then you are trying to answer like what cool monster or a person or whatever could fit into this ability, and then go from there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we also have in between these little encounters that we have within the game that here the trickster asked us a couple questions that we had to answer, and based off of that, if we answer the riddle correctly, we get something. So there's also these little fun things that kind of give you more flavor to your run and kind of to the story itself.
Yeah, so events and places of power are kind of like breaks from never-ending combat that goes on otherwise, and they can, like you see, they can be beneficial. They can make you lose something. It's all random in the spirit of roguelike.
Yeah, here we could help out the merchant if we did. We got this girdle, so that's also pretty cool. Ooh, assassin is our next opponent.
Watch your back.
Exactly.
Hard one.
Yeah, this is a hard one.
Yeah, that's what I noticed from the brief tooltip that flashed on screen.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you said you start with the basics, so it's either an art or it's like a direction, something to hang on. After that, once you think about an ability, you playtest that ability, right? I mean,
our system makes it fairly easy to implement stuff and test them live, so we don't have to wait for anybody to tell us whether it's okay or not. And so we just implement the stuff, play with it, see if it works, see if it doesn't. Maybe it's completely fine, maybe it's too weak. Like it starts from an idea, and like iterating on it, like and play, like getting your hands on it as soon as possible. It helps a lot with the process.
Okay, so then you go through iterations. Probably there are some changes in between it because you're testing mainly amongst yourself, or you also have QAs come in and help out with testing stuff.
So first iterations, when you just have it on your personal editor, stuff happens just with yourself or AI, and like you're trying to determine whether the idea is worth carrying forward or not. But then you just push it to everybody, like let everybody else see what is it about, and everybody's feedback is very valuable in the process. And if somebody feels like this could be done better, or like ideas like this never die. We just keep iterating,
going through different iterations.
Until we are basically just done with thing ready to release.
Yeah, that's also what I like about the design process. I feel like everybody in the design team is close enough and is in such a camaraderie that you're able to critique each other work without other people taking it, like, of course, personally. That's one thing, but the other thing is also the fact that you're able to bounce different ideas of one another. And I feel like you all are kind of like this rowdy bunch that is from different walks of life, play different card games in their life, and they're trying to, you know, bring a lot of cool ideas and kind of put the whole thing together.
Yeah, so everybody has a different perspective, and some people favor different play styles, obviously, and we all have our own experience, and we even have a semi-professional player on the design team. So it's a lot of fun to just even like banter on like, wow, you really made this week, and stuff like this. Yeah.
Of course, you need to be busting each other. It's kind of like, oh, you could have made this better, or you could have tweaked this. But I get it. I get that it's all in good faith in this case. So that last row was stacked, but now it's not, since one unit is gone. Look at that boost. 34 points on one card. 35 now.
Very dangerous.
Even better. Oh, to reveal. That's a card I know.
Stacked row.
Yep. Well, -1 unit. I think he got it. I think he
We'll
has
see.
It.
See, that's the thing that the decision that we made pretty early in development. Player always goes first, so so their opponent always goes last.
Yeah.
You never know what is gonna be their last play, and even if it looks hopeless for your opponent, sometimes they will just bring it all back in the one card.
I remember there was some initial feedback from players that they kind of said like, oh, because, you know, I came from multiplayer Gwent, and in multiplayer we really want to be the last player. Like, you want to have last say, and it's very important, especially in a game in which the resources are the cards in your hand.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to have at least one card more in order just to have this last say, and kind of there are decks that favor this, of course. That people were like, okay, but why do I always have to be first? Why don't I get last say? It was like, that's kind of the point of it, right? Like this anticipation that you have at the end. Like, maybe in this match we didn't see it that well, because Jean had like 69 points, which is a lot compared to opponent having 27. But you know, it's still important.
Yeah, so again, the decision was made pretty early in development. We wanted the fights to keep you at the edge of your seat a little bit, make sure that it isn't too easy. And there are some cards that can give you the last play, and the game changes drastically when you get them. But the general feeling is that they still might have something that you didn't see, and
now we have a furious ice giant that is our opponent. Speaking of you and kind of influences, were there any, before you joined here, were there any card games that influenced you? I know that you joined through QA, and then you became a gameplay designer. So kind of, did you have any prior card game interest, knowledge, or anything like that?
So I play card games. Is basically everything that is still alive or dead at this point. Like Might of Magic Duel of Champions is not a game that exists anymore, but played that back in the day as well.
Nice.
So like I played a lot, and obviously I think I played more roguelikes than card games. So,
oh, really?
So my experience...
So you were the perfect fit for this.
I just happened to be a perfect person at the perfect time for this idea to be brought up and into the development, right? But when it comes to designing for Gwent, it's kind of very hard to take inspirations from other card games because of how
styles differ, right?
It's so unique in how you approach the game, because most of the games have like life points and you are trading blows with your opponent, and
no going phase, no mana system, nothing like that.
Yeah, so here you are basically just like trying to manage your resources, bluff your opponent out and stuff like this. It's less pronounced in the single player because there's only one round. You can't just like pretend you are overcommitting or whatever and bluff your opponent out, but this aspect is still like very strong, and it's very hard to just take something from another game and just translate it one-to-one into ours. So I'm always designing from like the Gwent's perspective first, and like trying to narrow down the teams and stuff for the things that I'm trying to make, and then maybe look into other places and see how they have solved it.
Yeah, but I'm happy that you mentioned that the gameplay style here is very unique. It's very different. Like resources based off of cards. I feel like a lot of players, whenever they start playing Gwent for the first time, is something that they really need to understand. Like, of course, you have powerful cards in your hand, but since there's no mana curve or anything like that, you shouldn't be like, you know, playing those cards. You should be kind of
one after the other.
Yeah, you should be kind of thinking about what your game plan is and not overcommit, because I've learned the hard way, like if you overcommit and you play all the good cards like in the beginning, then you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do?
All of them are on the board now.
And I draw into something and I don't know what I draw into. Does it have synergy? Does it work? If it doesn't, then you're pretty much, you know, screwed there. So yeah. I feel like Jean's pretty good. Like look at him go, 79 points. So I feel like that's a nice cushion.
Yeah, he's building the advantage pretty well. Yeah, it's still pretty early in the game, but he's doing quite well.
How many bosses more or less on one run? Do you remember? How many bosses do you have per like one run, like more or less, until you get to the big boss?
You mean like fights, encounters? Yeah. So it depends on which road you pick, because like it's the nodes are random, so you can end up playing on every node that you encounter, and sometimes you will just have a streak of like events and stuff, but like you generally have like 6 fights roughly before you get to the boss, so you can't avoid fighting altogether, so you have to test your deck sometime.
Yeah, can't go full pacifist mode in this case, no way. Okay, so that's another boss out the way. We're breezing through here.
Yeah, only one way to go.
Yeah. He wanted the treasure first. He didn't want to go to the
so excited for the treasures.
You need this. You can transform your card. Yay.
It's gonna be.
Okay.
Drummer.
An interesting choice. Oh, nice. Oh. Morgvark.
That's gonna help.
Yeah, that's a
good
it's straight
trade. Into the treasure.
Of course. Let's see what's inside. Okay, so another girdle, another Raven's armor, but runic disc here is new. Of course, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. That card is very good.
Yes, but I feel like it's gonna come up and bite him in the ass eventually, stacking all the buffs on one unit.
Nah, it'll be fine. Like upgrade. Like I remember back in multiplayer times of Gwent. When I used to play dwarves, like just boosting everything to oblivion was fine, and then putting resilience on it, and then you're totally fine.
Well, sometimes you get Igni, but
ooh, Maxi.
Yeah, so elites.
So
much tougher opponents.
Tougher opponent, yeah. It's nice that you mentioned that. Yeah, these are the elite opponents that you go against. So no more scruffy monsters. We have Maxi herself here. Known from the Witcher lore. If you know your Witcher lore, you will know who that is.
Or if you played Gwent.
Yeah, she's also there. Different art though.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna check if we have any questions coming in from chat. And we do. Okay. Question from Vlad, the game director of Gwent. What's in the cup? H2O, because we're staying hydrated. We had coffee before the stream, so that's easy. Who came up with the name Rogue Mage? I think very unique and catchy to say. This is a question by Kupor, who is part of the Gwent community. So we went through multiple names for the game. I think it was...
Couldn't ship it as the Golden Necker.
No, we couldn't go with Golden Necker. So the names were Witcher Origins. I think that was one that was there. There was one called something like Alzur's Legacy. There was Rogue Mage. There was Mage Hunter, Renegade Mage. There were a lot of names, but then in the end we settled with Rogue Mage, and it was more to the sense to kind of have, because Alzur is a rogue, he is a renegade, he kind of does things his own way, and it feels perfectly. And you have the roguelike element when it comes to the gameplay. So Rogue Mage has like this double meaning in this case, and I feel like it totally fits.
Yeah, I'm pointing it out. It's a roguelike game.
Do you know if we had any expectations on top of speedrun times, and what's our take on the runs that lasted under 5 minutes?
I mean, we expected people to go fast eventually. We didn't try to measure ourselves against it too much, because we focused on developing the game instead of cutting the seconds out of it.
Yeah.
But I think it's very impressive that people are capable of finding the perfect route for the game and to finish it so fast. It's always interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it's more of us being kind of here like open-minded and kind of seeing like where players will take the game itself. Like, we design something, we create something, and then we give it to you, and doesn't matter the way you utilize it. Like, you can do fast runs, but you can also do runs which last a little bit longer and take a little bit more time. And I think it's also a learning curve aspect of it. Like, you won't be just starting the game off and instantly being so good that you'll be, passing through it super quickly and beating every boss without any problems.
Yeah, so there's something in it for everybody. If you like going fast and seeing the game like breeze past it, no problem. But we wanted to make sure that everybody has some has a play style that they could exercise in the game. This basic deck that Jean is playing with is focused more around boosting, but there's also a damage deck and spawning deck, and you can build the points however you want.
Yeah.
Winning is all that matters.
Yeah, in this case, and I also like that you have different variations of decks that you can actually play. So it lets you try different ones to kind of come to a conclusion which one works for you. Another question from Kupor: who decided to add the frog boss to Rogue Mage? Did the person get a pay raise of 50% of the company? Hope so. I don't know who came up with the...
I didn't get a raise for that. I'm sorry if you got pawned by the frog.
No, but he likes frogs.
Oh.
That's his thing. He really likes frog and frog-related stuff. He's part of our community.
So the big toad was my idea, and I came up with I wasn't tuning it in the end, but most of the concept and the deck was my idea. So.
Nice. There you go. Easy. We invited the perfect person for this question and we got a perfect answer for it. Did we ever consider doing a daily run system, or at least seeded runs? I think with the amount of resources that we had, I feel like there was an idea somewhere there, but nothing that we could implement in time in this case.
Yeah, so it's a very cool idea, and stuff like Spelunky and stuff like this. I'm a fan of like testing how you do against other players and stuff like this. But the leaderboards that we have was basically all we could have done with the resources that we had. So maybe in the future.
Maybe in the future. Jean went through an elite. Easy peasy. Is probably going to be picking up a Reynard card here. Reynard, you might remember from Thronebreaker. We also did a 20th anniversary stream for Thronebreaker where we had Seb on and me. Also really cool game for those that want more single player action in their life. That one more story driven.
Yes.
This one more
definitely.
Replayability and gameplay driven.
So the reward for beating an elite is either upgrading the key card, the pivotal card of your deck, or taking a treasure. Jean went for the treasure, which is a little unusual. He's laughing
there. I can hear him.
we tried to make the cards like the upgrades to the cards very appealing. So it's weird that he passed it over. Maybe he didn't read it very well.
No, he was looking at it for quite some time. Ooh, Avalanche.
Oh,
I really like that previous art we saw of Alzur like being going full power. Kind of reminded me of him going like Dragon Ball Z, you know, another evolution in this game. But that was an unstable place of power. By Seren Shirin, did I see that Pafko is having a resurgence in some movement Scoia'tael decks? Pafko forever. I agree, Pafko forever, but Pafko needs a buff. And yes, for those, Jean is saying no, but every Friday on the balance meeting, I am going to be saying that Pafko needs a buff. And thankfully, there are people in this community who understand this, that Pafko needs to be better. For those of you wondering why Pafko is a card that has an art which resembles little old me. That's why we're mentioning it. Yes. Will we ever get a sorta single player mode? So sorta or really single player for a standalone Gwent where we can grind stuff. Doesn't have to have a campaign or whatever. I feel like I mean, if you look at our journeys, it's kind of the place where you can play and grind out stuff in terms of like it's an alternative progression system that lets you get different things in terms of like skins, cards, avatars, borders, so anything that you'll be using in multiplayer, and also resources which you can use within the game. So that's kind of our avenue for those things, but making a separate mode that is there just for getting vanities, if I understand correctly, would be kind of
maybe they just want to complete their dailies in single player, but
maybe it's just having more quests and more nodes and stuff like that. Maybe that's that. Question for you by Jordanico. What's your favorite interaction in the game?
There are a couple. So I think I'm most fond of the Gorsped boss, since it was my idea from the beginning, and I basically wanted to like push as hard as I can to make this monster that like weakens your units and like eats them whole and grows bigger with more tentacles and stuff like this. So that's what one I'm fond of the most. And for like the little interactions, Crush Saddle. Because it's just fun.
Yeah, nice stuff. Will Rogue Mage based contracts make it its way to Gwent like Thronebreaker? As far as I know, there are no plans for that right now. I know there were some people saying that they would like if you got Rogue Mage, the same as you got Thronebreaker, and in some places in Thronebreaker you could get premium versions of cards, which then would be added to your multiplayer version of the game. But I feel like for this one, since we treat it as an expansion, we kind of got rid of those things and decided not to do them. So it was an idea that we wanted to do, but pretty much we stuck it to the way it is right now. Is there a plan to add more decks and bosses, especially bosses? I get really dry fighting the same bosses over and over again. I don't think so.
I mean, I was glad about it.
Exactly. Tag at Thor Serpent in chat and he'll reply. Easy.
Because like
we dodged that one.
I mean, I can come back and design some more bosses for you, but Vlad.
Exactly. Are there any other Easter eggs on top of the one to get Geralt? Are there any Easter eggs?
There are Easter eggs, and it's actually a funny story with Easter eggs, because I think only 2 people that were responsible for Easter eggs know about Easter eggs, or how to do them, how to trigger them.
153 points. Sorry to interrupt you.
It's still paying off so far.
Yeah.
But you're heading for the dragon, and you will see. You will see. Another one.
Yeah, another. Yeah, Girdle.
Not this time.
Okay, so he listened to you this time. Yeah, went with buffing up Reynard. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got an achievement with units having more than 100 points of power. Another question by Leonard Back. Oh my god, I'm gonna butcher this. Bacalzo. We know you make great card games, but what we really want to know is how you keep your hair so silky soft. But who?
Whom?
Not me.
Not you?
Me, I'm losing hair, man. I'm not keeping anything silky soft. I think it's probably because I remember when you joined the company, you had shorter hair.
I mean, I grow it out periodically.
Yeah.
Like usually cut it for summer because it's bothersome, but not this time.
Okay.
And how to keep it? You just take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you have to
wash it.
I mean, you have to figure out what works for you because I mean, I don't want to turn it into a beauty advice stream, but like
whatever the people want, man. Whatever people want.
Like you have to figure out what works for you and like experiment. You will eventually arrive to something that works for you. So try different shampoo, try different things to do with it. Maybe skip a wash once, see how that works for you, because like overwashing your hair is also not that great. So,
true, I heard about that.
So yeah, just experiment. You'll get there.
It's funny that we have this topic because you have long hair and Jean who's playing the game also has like magnificent long hair which curls so nicely, and I wish you guys could see it but you can't, but if you tune into our YouTube channel Play Gwent and you go there, the majority of the developer videos that we do are with Jean, so you will be able to see 50 shades of Jean's hair. So yeah, I hope I caught your interest there.
We got the frog.
We got the frog. Oh yeah, we do. Exactly.
And now the strategy of just buffing one unit is gonna backfire.
Okay, let's see if he goes through. No, he'll be fine. He just looked like, oh. What?
Yeah, he's very disturbed.
What was the thought process behind the Alabastra Ice Dragon and her wings? That was a very interesting mechanic and boss fight. Do you remember that one?
So we we wanted to have like phases in a boss fight to where like you can target the boss and weaken it in some way if you apply your tools correctly. So that was basically the idea, and what you see is the result of this idea. So that's basically how all the design is. You just set a goal and then try to achieve it, and like because you have a goal, you can easily verify whether you succeeded or not. And that one we wanted to have like a multiple phases and like ways to weaken the boss and have its own abilities tied to the stuff. So that's the result.
Okay, nice. Question: will Rogue Mage and Gwent be Steam Deck verified? As far as I know, our team is currently looking into that and working on that. So it is a goal for us for sure. So just letting you know. Sad this is the last stream by Vernie Arts. Of course, I like everyone else want new announcement, but I'm gonna miss those talks about development and stories you guys shared on those streams. Much love from Poland, said the Projekt Red. Not a question, but wholesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Vernie Arts. Really appreciate it. Yeah. I also get this that because this is not like the first anniversary stream that we have done. And I feel like with each one that we do, it's kind of good to have these points where we kind of stop and kind of look back at the development and what we did, and it's really one of those like wholesome moments that you think about. You were laughing because he's getting his something handed to him.
I mean,
he's saying everything's fine.
We'll see.
But yeah, I see see that the boosting isn't doing that well.
I mean, boosting is kind of weak against poison. So that was a big swing.
Yeah.
But he still has a curse in his hand.
Catervin, more poison.
Let's see this. Because of the curse, the opponent is gonna have 2 last place, and
that's not good.
Yeah, it isn't ideal, and I'm gonna point
unicorn.
out that Jean currently has 56 energy, that he's probably hoarding for the boss, and that might not be the best strategy at this point.
Another question, can we expect some of these amazing hours to make their way into Gwent, or were they made exclusively for Rogue Mage? That is a good question. To be honest, I don't know if they will make their way into multiplayer Gwent. I feel like we're known for keeping like all these assets and reusing them in multiple ways, so I would not say no to that, but I also would not confirm it 100%. Add Thor Serpent once again, so Vlad can answer that for you. So we can once again dodge the question. Jean is looking hopeful.
The frog still has the ability.
No,
Oh.
he's good. Made it.
Made
Yeah,
it.
but still, it had like a
It was way closer than usual.
Yeah. No, but still, the cushion was there. Like the cushion was there. Giant Toad is gone. We're breezing through today. It's good I'm not playing because we would be losing a lot. Can Rogue Mage or Gwent eventually have multiplayer versus AI opponents? I feel like Rogue Mage is like, well, not multiplayer because you can't like.
As in like co-op?
I would think it's co-op, so having like two people play or three against one, but that's like, I don't know if that would work. Like it would need to be a separate game mode in which you queue in with another person to take on a boss. That would make sense in a way, but that feels like it's totally separate game by itself.
That sounds like it's the beginning of another Rogue Mage.
Yeah. I feel pretty much like a multiplayer Rogue
And that's
Mage.
how Rogue Mage started. It's like we want some single player content for Gwent.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Why don't we make a roguelike? And here we are.
Speaking, Alabastra the White Dragon is here. Well, this is gonna be a tough one, right?
With this deck, yeah.
I really like that we brought the triple arts here. It's really, really cool. We have a Frozen Adventurer. Well, that's gonna be interesting. Banish self, counter 2. Okay. This is gonna be a tough one.
Occupies your board
Yeah.
until you get rid of it.
Question from my friend Watchflake, our Gwent caster. When did Pavel get so handsome? Oh, stop you. Thoughts on why treasures were added and which do you like the best?
Favorite
treasure?
I mean, saddle. I mentioned it before, but also we wanted from the beginning to have like a batch of very powerful cards. Like we didn't want the player to just play exclusively with very game-breaking cards, but it's fun to just grab something that like the belt, the girdle that works very well with Jean's strategy. We saw a unit reach like 150 points. So yeah, the cards, we wanted to put some very powerful cards that you don't necessarily will see in multiplayer because they are just broken. Yeah, and that was the idea behind it.
Yeah, I feel like treasures were kind of something that we really wanted to have in the game because it enhances the gameplay aspect of the whole thing and kind of the storytelling, as well as you kind of upgrading your deck and kind of progressing, and with every run you run into different things, which kind of makes the whole thing more interesting to play. I think it's just another layer.
And also the kinds of treasures you get change drastically how the run looks like for you. So Jean is all-inning on boosting one unit right now, but could have played completely different depending on the treasures that he got.
I think in the previous one he was kind of like distributing points in a way where everything doesn't go to one unit because you're afraid of the poison. Like if you put everything in one thing and it gets poisoned, then
but once again he's playing against an enemy that can very quickly dispatch of the units that are stacked with points.
And we see Alzer going full Emperor Palpatine with the with the thunder out of his hands. Really cool move. Looking good. Ice Elemental. It's a construct.
Construct archetype in Gwent.
Questions about Gwent are allowed? Of course they are. If there are any planned ways to play seasonal against friends. I don't know. There were some questions. There were some like ideas floating around to have that, and I know it's been something that the community has been talking about for quite some time. So this kind of has been something which is prevalent. I don't have a full 100% yes or no answer though for you.
I mean, it's in truly Gwent fashion. Ideas never die.
Yeah.
They are there somewhere. It's just the team is constructed of. It's kind of small, but it's all full of passionate people, and sometimes it takes time before we get to each idea.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah, I feel like nothing ever goes out and goes to waste pretty much. So he got rid of one wing at least. So
yeah, that's progress. That's a bonus.
But we have the Winter Queen there. She's and we have the Kara card, which is a well-known meme within the Gwent community. Mm. So how do you see his chances here?
He is controlling the units that. So the fight is centered around the freezing status. When the unit is frozen and then gets moved around, it just evaporates and clutters your board. Yeah. Like that. Yeah. So he's doing pretty well in playing around that so far.
That placement though, why put that Wild Hunt guy and ruin the art with the wing? I mean,
sometimes
AI, get your stuff together.
Sometimes AI is unpredictable.
Yeah. Are we going to see more of Alzer and Lily in the future by Queenaz? Oh.
No spoilers, but if anything, just Alzer.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay. Moving on. Are there any unexpected or unintended interactions in Rogue Mage that you saw players discover that you didn't see?
I don't think.
I also don't think so.
I
mean, in the testing phase, there were some weird interactions, but I remember those were kind of steam rolls through them.
We want people to do silly stuff with the cards, and
that's kind of the point of this.
Yeah.
mode.
So in playtest, when we discover something that works in a way that isn't supposed to happen or whatever, then we just bring it up and does it look cool? Yeah. Okay. Leave it there. It's just fun to. Again, this is playing against the bot, and I tuned AI a little bit. I didn't find any emotions in there, so you can't hurt it. Yeah. So
exactly.
It's fine. It's fine if you make a board. Your board have thousands of points due to some interactions, and it's once in a while. It's okay. Just not always.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Will there be ever a Gwent trading card game? I think someone means like a physical one. I feel like the way we have been developing Gwent and kind of our focus is mainly digital. It's not physical in this case. So I do not foresee it in the near future.
I think Witcher 3 Gwent version exists as...
There were decks that were added to a limited run of a boxed edition of Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine. So there were 2 decks per edition.
I have one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I should still really have all of mine somewhere, but yeah.
Those are probably very hard to find by now.
They're very hard to find because it was a limited run. And I remember back in the day, a couple of years ago, people were selling them for crazy amounts of money.
If you have crazy amounts of money, you might still get it somewhere.
Yeah, but it's a different Gwent. It's more similar to the one that you have in The Witcher 3 compared to what we have
It's exactly
right now.
the same as in Witcher 3.
Yeah, so it's archaic compared to what we have here. So keep that in mind. Question for Rogue Mage. Any quality of life changes or improvements in the foreseeable future? I missed the beginning of the stream. I don't think so. Apart from maybe if we find anything, I don't know, after this time, which was, I don't know, game breaking or problematic for players, and any weird reports that might be coming in, then yes, we would. But apart from that, coming in and changing some stuff, I don't think so.
I think for now we are done. just trying to keep it running as smooth as possible for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, Frost Breath. He has a nice point cushion here, but
No.
things will change rapidly. He's getting these nice frozen artifacts, which are beautiful.
Now he has 2 belts in his hand and most of his board frozen, so we will see.
Question from Close Cat. Were you the inspiration for the look of Azur?
I don't think so.
I think he has like a goatee though. That's the only difference. But also the long hair, right?
I sometimes don't shave, but I don't think I was the inspiration.
What about playing against friends and both of them could bet some gold or barrels so the winner takes them both? Could that be possible? So like a betting within Gwent, yeah. That's I don't. To be honest, like me personally, I'm not a fan of that type of concept. To be honest, like you bet a certain amount and you play, and the person who wins gets something. This kind of creates like inside betting, trading type of a deal, which for me is always kind of shady. But that's just me.
You have to believe in people and that they will be using the system honestly, right?
Or abusing the system.
But yeah.
Look, he won!
He did it.
Yeah. Victory. The dragon, the white dragon has fallen. And yeah, quite the point cushion here. Run summary. Beautiful. Beautiful.
He did it.
He did it. Nice.
Quite a bit slower than speedrunners.
Yeah. Slower than speedrunners, but still, I mean, managed to go through it super quickly.
I think he mentioned that it's his first time playing, so...
I mean, but it's a gameplay designer. It's a person that is...
If he lost, we would have been very disappointed.
That is so in tune when it comes to card games and how they should be played. Like, the knowledge these people have is just freaking amazing. You guys are rock stars, really. Okay, that's the perfect place to probably end. But yeah, once you finish your run, you go back to the lab, you unlock some cool stuff here, and then this also influences your next run.
So we are about to see more of the story.
Good.
If Jean could guide us through it.
I'm just gonna be clicking on stuff now.
Nice.
Experiment.
Alzur and Lily, eager to see years of research come to fruition, were finally spurred to action by a chance encounter. In a nearby village, a brute of a man had been sentenced to death, yet he did not find his fate at the end of the hangman's rope. Instead, the mages purchased his life, for he was the perfect vessel for their experiment. Sure of their science, they promptly began sedating the man and flooding his veins with myriad concoctions. As expected, the subject mutated, but most violently so. His body, twisted by the tinctures, warped into a foul abomination. With newfound strength, the monstrosity broke free from its bonds. Bewildered and bitter, it lashed out in frenzied rage. Jagged claws pierced Lily, rending flesh from bone. Alzur fought the monster back, but try as he might, kill it, he could not. With violent urges sated, the failed experiment fled from the laboratory, leaving Alzur alone to wallow in the wake of his failure, which was absolute. Darkness and despair consumed the mage for days, weeks, months, until eventually sorrow paved the way to a solitary purpose. Alzur would ensure above all else that his beloved Lily had not died in vain.
Oh man. What a way! That's why you mentioned like
if you were wondering,
Alzur and Lily, or like Alzur will, but Lily.
If you were wondering what happens,
yeah. So this is kind of the moment where Alzer kind of goes crazy and pretty much says that, okay, now without her, he's hell bent on this this kind of way to create these witchers. So yeah, one thing from chat by Giordanico, Jean is the Alzer we don't deserve, but the Alzer we need. That's a very, very nice summary. All right, everybody, this was the last stream, so I wanted to give a huge shout out to everybody who was watching, but also to everybody who was hosting this event. And so Sebastian, Alicia, Amelia, Ryan, and all our wonderful guests who came, like Adam, and spoke about their story when it comes to CDPR, but also the projects they worked on. So yeah, it's really, really awesome. Shout out to the community. If you want to rewatch these streams, it's very easy. You just go to the anniversary website, which is 2020 years of Projekt. Remember, Projekt, not project, project in Polish. So there's a JEK there.com. So if you go to that website, you will be able to watch every stream that we did since the first one with Marcin Iwiński all the way to this last one for Rogue Mage. And then there's also a gallery there from community members who submitted their screenshots, photos, collections, cosplay, art, everything CDPR related, which is freaking amazing. There's over 5,000 entries there, so there's a lot of stuff to go through. All the trivias about Red are also on the website. There's 3 more challenges that are still going to be happening, so you can get a limited anniversary mug, which is much nicer than this white one that I have here. T-shirts and all the cool stuff. There's also a link to the shop, the gear store. You can get these anniversary T-shirts for Witcher as well as Cyberpunk. There's a lot of cool stuff there. And yeah, the sale has run its course, but yeah, everything is there still. Check the gallery from the party, because we also had an awesome party where we invited community members here to the studio. We showed them the studio, we partied, we ate cake. It was really nice to see everybody in person. It was a really nice celebration. So that, and last but not least, is the fact that we announced yesterday that we'll be continuing the celebrations in Lucca in Italy, and we're bringing Toussaint there. More information, you can go to the CDPR Twitter. Everything is there. And I would love to see you there, because I will be there. Toussaint is the land of blood and wine, but there'll be more wine than blood, so trust me, you cannot miss it. Okay, to round this off, Adam, thank you.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure, man. And Jean, also thank you for playing the game. He's still playing, but you're not able to see it, but he's still continuing with the next run. So we got him hooked. Perfect. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a good evening, have a good morning, have a good day. Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.